I'm Nancy Bennett. I'm your 2014 NMA Vice Chair, and honored to be your MC for today's event. Thank you for attending. I trust you all enjoyed our opening event yesterday and our educational sessions. I think we're off to a terrific start to our 2014 conference. At this time, we are going to conduct what many consider to be a highlight, if not the highlight, of the conference and our time together this weekend. Before we start the contest, I want to express my sincere thanks to Kathy Spatz, who's in the back of the room. Wave your hand, Kathy. This year's National Contest Director. Kathy serves as our NMA Board of Directors, and she is the 2014 Northeast Area Chair, and is a member of the Columbus Public Service Chapter in Columbus, Ohio. The contest director is responsible for the planning of the contest, briefing the contestants and the judges, and securing personnel to help run the contest. Let's show our appreciation to Kathy by leading applause. Today we have the distinct privilege to listen to 4 young adults. They will each present a speech about leadership and what it means to them. Each speaker will lift your spirits and, quite frankly, make you proud. Just a few words about the contest and some of its rules. Most of you know them already, but it does not hurt to repeat them. You are not, and for those that were in attendance last night, you are not to applaud after each contestant. Please do not applaud after they speak. The lack of applause and a few minutes of silence allows the judge to concentrate while scoring the contestants. The speakers have been advised of this procedure and will be expecting a period of silence after their speeches. At the conclusion of the contest, and after you've dismissed the judges to complete their scoring, all speakers will return to the room to be introduced. As a reminder, our contestants' rules state, at all contest levels, there shall be no photography, video, or audio recording allowed during the contest, except arranged by NMA. There will be ample opportunity for pictures of the contestants later in the program. In addition, please turn off all electronic devices. So we're going to take a few minutes for everyone to pull out their electronic device and turn them off, turn them on silent. Just turn them off. At this time, let me also give you some basic information about the running of the contest. Presentations by our contestants will be in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, instead of numerical order of 1, 2, 3, 4. All of the speakers were assigned a letter during an earlier random drawing. Speeches are not to exceed 6 minutes, nor be less than 4 minutes, otherwise penalty points are deducted. Judging is to be done by a select group of people, including some Toastmasters from the local area. Our judges are highly skilled and experienced in the art of public speaking. Each judge will submit an individual score for each contestant. The chief judge will tally the scores for each contestant, and the decision of the judges will be final. We'll have the pleasure of introducing them to you a bit later. And our most popular civic activity and program, the NMA Speech Contest, was developed for 4 primary objectives. The first objective is to engage high school students in the study of leadership and the many attributes and components. The second purpose is to involve them in researching writing, and delivering a speech on what they've learned and observed. The third objective is to provide our students with an incentive to develop communication skills that are essential to the success of their life. The fourth purpose is to provide winning students with financial awards that will help them with their further formal education. So, we will now start with our first contestant. Ladies and gentlemen, here is contestant A.
I have a passion for leadership. It is one of the most important skills that any person can develop. But leadership is more than just a skill. It's a set of them, working together towards an end result, a leader. Now, I've had a variety of leadership experiences, and these have not only transformed my life, but they have led me to the conclusion that leadership is the single most important asset that any person can have. Today I will define leadership, identify why it is important, and discuss practical ways that we can all pursue leadership. But what is leadership? Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines it as the power or ability to lead others. And while this is very true, a better definition needs to be more specific, because a truly good leader is able to inspire others and raises the level of work around him. A truly good leader doesn't just tell people what to do, but leads by example, acting as a servant. A truly good leader is a role model and a visionary. And the greatest of leaders possesses all of these qualities, yet remains humble and approachable. There is no perfect leader, but it's important that we have this framework in place so that we can all strive for something greater. Now, back in November of 2013, Time magazine writer Marcia White wrote an article on why it's so hard for current college graduates to find jobs. She said, a recent survey by the Employment Solutions Group at St. Louis Community College finds that more than 60% of employers say that applicants lack basic communication and interpersonal skills. A jump of more than 10 percentage points in just 2 years. Furthermore, a wide margin of managers say that applicants lack the ability to think critically or creatively, solve problems, or write well. It's interesting that today we don't see a lack of technical or academic ability, but a lack of leadership. What were these managers looking for? They were looking for applicants who could think critically and creatively. They were looking for communicators, all of which are skills that are honed and developed through leadership. These managers were looking for leaders. Leadership makes a difference. Leadership is needed. Leadership matters. Now, you may be familiar with the man Dale Carnegie. He wrote the famous book entitled How to Win Friends and Influence People. And in this book, he tells the story of the first man to ever earn a $1 million salary. His name was Charles Schwab. Now, Charles Schwab was hired by Andrew Carnegie, the president and founder of Carnegie Steel Company. Now, why did Andrew Carnegie hire Charles Schwab? Because he was a genius? No. Because he knew more about the manufacture of steel than any other person? Nonsense. Schwab was hired because of his leadership abilities. In fact, Schwab himself said, I consider my greatest asset my ability to inspire those around me. Schwab was a leader, and Carnegie recognized this fact. Now, $1 million back in 1921, the year that Schwab was hired, is worth more than $14 million today. The first man to ever earn $14 million in a year was hired because he was a leader. Now, we shouldn't be pursuing leadership for the money, or for the fame or for the prestige, but we can see here that leadership makes a difference. Leadership is needed. Leadership matters. But it's it's not just worth knowing about leadership, because it's a skill, and as such, it can be only grown through experience. And there are 3 steps that we can all take to pursue leadership. The first step is to identify your passion, because we're all passionate about something, though we're all different people. For instance, I am passionate about communication. I love words and the power of words. I enjoy thinking about the best way to communicate my message to my audience. I am passionate about communication. But you are probably different than me. Your passion might not be communication, but instead it might be art, or athletics, or academics. Whatever it may be, identify your passion and there pursue leadership. The second step is to watch your actions. Because as leaders, people look at us. They watch what we do. They analyze our actions. They sometimes even imitate us. So we need to ask ourselves this question. Do we want to see our actions in the lives of those around us? It's important to not forget that our actions impact others. The final step is to pursue leadership opportunity. And as many opportunities as possible, because only through opportunity and experience will we grow as leaders. Leadership makes a difference. We can see this all around us. We saw it in the lives of Charles Schwab and Andrew Carnegie. We can see it in the lives of these thousands of college graduates who cannot find jobs. Leadership is needed. And it's such an incredibly powerful tool. Through leadership, we can impact those around us. We can impact our society. We can even change the world. That's why leadership matters.
Began in the 1980s, chapters across the country began sponsoring a variety of local essay and speech contests in their local communities. Today, speech contests, originally the American Enterprise Speech Contest, began as a grassroots program in southeastern areas of the United States. The first national contest was held in 1988, which, as I said at our onset, makes this morning's event the 26th annual contest finals. In the early 1990s, the NMA Educational Foundation Corporation conducted corporate chapter and individual fundraising to help support the cost of the contestants at the regional and national levels. Most NMA chapters and councils have their own fundraising activities to help pay the prize monies and other contest expenses. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our second contestant, contestant B.
To be able to lead others, a man must be willing to go forward alone. When Harry Truman spoke these words, he was on to something. And furthermore, he was right. Coming from the 33rd President of the United States, these words were spoken by a man who held great power, but who knew that his position meant more than just dictating to others. Truman discovered what all great leaders understand, that leadership involves the issue of character, that it does not mean telling others what to do, but rather showing them how to do it. Today, I'd like to discuss 3 components that are essential to great leadership, what I call the 3 R's. No, they're not reading, writing, and arithmetic, while those are always helpful. Leadership's 3 R's include responsibility, respect, and role modeling. In the Disney movie A Bug's Life, the character Hopper jokes, "First rule of leadership, everything is your fault." Leadership is about taking responsibility, our first R. Responsibility for your actions and sometimes others' actions as well. But when a leader stumbles, he often tends to blame it on someone else. After all, who wants to look bad? Doug Guthrie, professor of management at the George Washington University School of Business, sheds an interesting light on this, remarking, "We are frequently taught that leaders, especially aspiring leaders, should hide weaknesses and mistakes. This view is flawed. It is not only good to admit with cyanide, resulting in 7 deaths. While it was not the company's fault, the manufacturer Johnson & Johnson took responsibility by voluntarily recalling their entire $100 million worth of product from store shelves until the issue was resolved. That is leadership. And it brings us back to the idea that true leadership isn't just looking the part. It's about taking responsibility and even the blame to show that you value those who look up to you. And as a leader, showing that you value others also means respecting their opinions. This is our second R, respect. Fortune magazine editor Peter Moulton once said, "Of all the skills of leadership, listening is the most valuable and one of the least understood. Most captains of industry listen only sometimes, and they remain ordinary leaders. But a few, the great ones, never stop listening." A captivating story shows how valuable respecting others through listening really is. Nelson Mandela was easily one of the world's most renowned leaders, yet it was his lesser-known adopted father, Chief John Ntaba, whose method of leadership had a great influence on Mandela and contributed to his later success. Chief John Ntaba was a tribal king who would often hold meetings of the court. Tribesmen would gather in a circle and express their opinions. Yet the chief waited until every man had spoken before he entered the conversation. Young Mandela grew up to follow this example, later saying, "As a leader, I've always endeavored to listen to what each person had to say before venturing my own opinion." You see, even though he was their superior, he understood that their voices had value, and paying them respect in turn made him great. Taking all of this into account, a great leader requires being a role model and setting an example. This is our final R, role model. Leadership is not about ordering or controlling others, but about guiding them through actions and demonstrating how they ought to live. Jim Sinegal, former CEO of Costco, took this to heart. Mr. Sinegal's company is thriving today, with revenue almost doubling over the past 5 years. Yet at company headquarters, his name tag simply says Jim. He answers his own phone and pays himself a yearly salary of $350,000, while most CEOs of large companies are paid in the millions. His contract even explains how he can be fired for not doing his own work. Through simple and humble actions, Jim earned the admiration and loyalty of his employees. By being an exceptional role model, he shows what it means to be a true leader. You know, Harry Truman was right when he said that one must be willing to walk alone if he wishes to be a true leader. Because it's not about who is following you. It's about becoming the person others would want to follow. Someone of strong character who exhibits our 3 R's: responsibility, respect, and role model. John Maxwell, author of The Right to Lead, sums it up succinctly, saying, "A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." Thank you.
The NMA speech contest is open to students from 9th through 12th grades. It is based on the 4-level competition. First is the chapter level, where students compete against other local contestants for prizes supplied by the NMA chapters. The second level is the council level competition. This involves the first place winners in various chapters in a particular geographical area that comprises an NMA council. If there is no council in the vicinity, the next level can be a combined chapter contest. That winner then represents the council or combined chapters at the 3rd level, which is held at the East and West NMA Leadership Development Conferences in April and May of each year. We're at the 4th and final level of competition. The first prize is a $4,000 cash, and the second prize is $1,000 $1,000 of cash. The third prize winner will receive a check for $500 each. The two third prize winners will receive a check of $500 each. At this time, may I present contestant C.
Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Winston Churchill. What comes to our minds when we think of a leader? The first thing we tend to consider is fame. Is the person a celebrated individual? Is he or she well known throughout the world? Actually, we do not have to look further than our own family and friends to find leaders. A leader is someone who stands up for what is right, sets good examples, and does not follow the crowd. A leader takes ownership for mistakes and is humble and selfless. He or she is sincere when helping someone, not just doing it for show. A leader is able to consider others' opinions while maintaining his own convictions. One does not have to be popular or famous to be a leader. A leader can be an ordinary person like me and you. We can find leaders among our family and our friends. Consider the following story. Once there was a young boy who just celebrated his 8th birthday. He received some money as a gift, so he went to the local candy store to buy a pack of baseball cards. When he left the store, he realized the cashier had given him back too much change. Instead of returning the money, he smiled and continued on his way. When he arrived home, he proudly showed his dad, "Look, not only did I get baseball cards, I also got more money." His father said absolutely nothing, but immediately took the boy back to the store. The father then made the boy apologize to the clerk and returned the excess change. The boy never forgot this. In fact, when he gave the eulogy at his father's funeral over 40 years later, he recounted this experience as life-changing. The father in the story was my grandfather. He was not famous or worldly. He was a simple, common man who, by setting this great example, left a lasting impression on my father. This is a characteristic of a true leader. The story has left an indelible impression on me as well. We as teenagers should not be afraid to take ownership for our mistakes, but try to correct them and then move forward. It takes courage to admit that we are wrong, but when we do, we become leaders. In January 2010, a catastrophic magnitude 7.0 earthquake struck the most populated area in the country of Haiti. Nearly 3 million people were affected. An estimated 100,000 people died, 300,000 people were injured, and 1 million people were homeless. Residences, businesses, and towns were crushed. Food, water, and shelter became scarce. Shortly thereafter, a young man completed his 3rd year of medical school in Macon, Georgia. Touched by the events in Haiti, he decided to join a missionary team of fellow students and doctors. He made this decision knowing full well that he would be facing serious conditions, such as food and water contamination, minimal health care facilities, and diseases such as malaria. Prior to his trip, he spent time raising money to purchase medical supplies. He spent over a week at various Haitian orphanages, providing free care and medicine. His trip was not publicized, and there were no cameras to greet him when he came home. He never bragged about what he had done. This young man is my cousin of whom I am very proud. His humility, generosity, and selflessness demonstrate true leadership. From this example, we teenagers can learn to unconditionally help others. We should not seek notoriety or something in return, but help others because we truly care about them. If we put others before ourselves, we become leaders. Lastly, a leader must respect others while maintaining his own convictions. It is natural for all of us to have different opinions and not agree on everything. A leader understands this and must patiently consider others' opinions while maintaining his own. For example, there is a man who is in charge of the financial department of a company. On a daily basis, he deals with numerous issues, many of which require the input of other employees. Even though this man may have his own opinions on the resolutions of an issue, he carefully and respectfully considers the input of his team. He works through the differences and tries his best to come up with fair and reasonable solutions. This man is my father, and his qualities of fairness and consideration help to make him a true leader. From this example, we teenagers can see that it is possible to work with others while maintaining our own opinions. We should not discount or bully others just because they do not agree with us. We must strive to maintain maintain the balance of working with others in a dignified manner. This will take much effort and practice, but if we achieve this balance, we become leaders. In summary, we teenagers do not necessarily have to look to someone famous in order to learn what leadership is. We can find examples of leadership in our parents, our teachers, our family, and our friends. We will be confronted in our everyday lives with opportunities to be leaders. We can apply what we have learned from their examples. Leadership can be found in all of us. We should not be afraid of it. We should embrace it. Thank you.
One of the most desirable qualities for an individual to possess in today's competitive environment is the ability to speak convincingly. Today, it's more than what we simply call public speaking. Whether it is a classroom-type situation, a business meeting, a community service gathering, or just a general group discussion, in order to be understood, one must be able to communicate effectively. It's a classic example of learning by doing. It is our hope that this contest not only results in our students becoming proficient in that skill, but we trust that by preparing the speech, has them thinking more deeply about what it means to be an effective leader. Our country, our business world, our global economy all call out for a new generation of people who can provide clarity and direction and leadership. Our NMA speech contest is a program that is definitely in the right place at the right time. Your support by being here today lends a critical air to the importance of what they're trying to accomplish. At this time, our contestant D.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to share with you a true story that has greatly impacted my life. It's a story about a young man who graduated from high school and joined the Marines. He was deployed and while overseas did many courageous deeds, but one time he was caught in the thickest of fire. Shells exploded around him and he watched his fellow comrades fall beside him dead. A retreat was necessary, and on the way back to safety, barely avoiding bullets and bleeding profusely himself, the Marine came upon a wounded soldier lying on the ground dying. He didn't even hesitate. He stooped down, picked the man up, and placed him on his own shoulders, greatly increasing the chances of he himself getting killed. Eventually, the two did make it to the American base, and when they arrived, the medic came and realized that this man was extremely close to death, and so set to work immediately, barely saving the man's life. The Marine was later asked why he risked his own life to save that of a man who should have already been dead. His response? Because I'm an American, and that's just what we do. George J. Flynn, a retired Lieutenant General in the U.S. Marine Corps, explains the Marines' simple yet highly effective approach to leadership. He said, when you are with the Marines gathering to eat, you will notice that the most junior are served first, while the most senior are served last. You will also notice that no order is given. Marines just do it. He goes on to say that Marine leaders are expected to eat last because they teach that the true price of leadership is the willingness to place the needs of others above one's own. Great leaders truly care about those they are privileged to lead and understand that the true cost of the leadership privilege comes at the expense of self-interest. So today, let's take a closer look at this incredible yet simple style of leadership called self-sacrificing leadership and ask the question, what if? For you see, while the style of leadership is simple, it is by no means easy. It requires three things. First, the willingness to place the needs of others, no matter who they are, above your own. Second, the willingness to sacrifice what is yours to save what is theirs. And third, the the willingness to forgive others, no matter if that forgiveness is earned or deserved. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you all, but I can do the first two. I can place the needs of others above my own, and I can sacrifice what is mine. But when it comes to the third, forgiveness, I struggle with it. In fact, sometimes it can almost seem impossible. But wouldn't you all agree? Well, some of you are nodding, thank you. But yet, as I did my research, I found that some of the most influential leaders of our times have shared one common characteristic. They chose to forgive. One of the best examples of this is Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned unjustly for 27 years, sentenced to hard physical labor, and he was tortured by racists for being anti-racist. And yet upon his release from prison, instead of harboring hatred and bitterness against his persecutors, he offered nothing but forgiveness and love. He was more than willing to place the needs of others above his own. And in 1990, he was elected president of South Africa. His country at that time was not only facing high unemployment and crime rates, but severe racial challenges as well. The black majority did not get along with the white supremacists. In an effort to counter this, Nelson Mandela convinced and worked directly with the white captain Francois Pienaar of the country's rugby team. Together, the two of them united a nation that had been torn apart by 50 years of racial tension. Mandela shared two life-changing truths with Pienaar. First, that to be free is not merely just to be rid of one's own chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. And second, no man is born hating another person. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. Remember our Marine from the beginning? Well, there's one final twist to this story. The soldier whom the Marine saved was not a U.S. soldier. He was an enemy soldier. And the Marine knew it. And yet, the Marine was willing to risk his own life to save that of an enemy. There is no greater love than this. So, ladies and gentlemen, what if we were to apply this self-sacrificing style of leadership? What would happen? A Marine saved a man's life. Nelson Mandela saved his country. Imagine what you and I could do. For as legendary basketball coach John Wooden once said, be more concerned about what you can do for others than what others can do for you. You'll be surprised at the results. Just do it.
An applause for me. Let's begin by recognizing these fine young men and women and showing them all appreciation. I'm going to ask Karen DeBal, PMP, CM, our 2014 NMA Chairman of the Board, to join me. At this time, I would like to ask our marshal and our contest volunteer runners to please bring back the contestants so that they can introduce themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present all four of our 2014 national finalists at the NMA Leadership Contest. Contestant A, would you please introduce yourself by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jonathan Hall. I am 17 years old and from Gaithersburg, Maryland. I'm a senior in high school and I am homeschooled. I just want to thank a few people. I want to thank the Baltimore chapter of the NMA and Greg Murad for sponsoring me and giving me this opportunity to come. I want to thank my parents, and especially my dad, for coming with me and helping me and hearing my speech time and time again. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you for listening, and then most of all, I just want to thank God for giving me the ability to speak. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Taryn Murphy. First, I'd like to thank the United Technologies chapter in San Diego for sponsoring me. You guys are great. I'm a sophomore in high school. I'm 15 years old, and I'm from Temecula, California. I'd also like to thank God for allowing me to be here today, because I wouldn't be here without God. And that's very true. And what I'd like to do in my life later is maybe pursue a career in broadcasting and hopefully attend the King's College in New York. Thank you for being here today and listening to all of our speeches, and thank you, Mom, for listening to my speech time and time again.
And I just want to thank Lockheed Martin Morristown for sponsoring me, for my parents, my sisters, my aunt and uncle who are here. And just thank you for being here and listening, putting up with our speeches. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dulce Camp, and I'm pretty sure I recognize about half the people in this room. And I'll let you know that I've done this competition way too long. I want to thank my generous chapter. I don't know, is Dawn and Lisa Hart, are they right in front? Thank you so much for sponsoring me every single year and every other kid you've sponsored. Also, a little bit from last year, do I have anyone from Texas? San Antonio, yes! Yes, you guys, that was amazing last year. Nationals is amazing. And you guys from Florida who I've not met, you know how to put on a party. This is really fun. As I said, I'm Dulce Camp, I'm 17. I'm a bit of an oddball. I'm from Washington State, the Tri-Cities, but I'm also from Winnipeg, Montana, which is a town you'll probably never hear about. So Washington and Montana coming down to Florida, big culture shock. With me today, I have my dad, my mom, my brother, my uncle, my grandmother, my cousin. Some of you might guess we're going to Disney World. I don't know where the competition is in our speeches that you previously heard or in our introductory statements right now, but I want to also thank God for this incredible opportunity and thank the NMA as a whole, because I know that you've done this for so many years. My chapter is one of the original chapters to start this competition. And I know that also NMA can't really bring about the funds all the time themselves, so I want to thank the sponsors who also come in to give us our scholarship money that you do give us. And thank you all for your support, and this is a lifetime experience that I'm sure none of us will forget. So, thank you.
Haven't these four students been exceptional? Would you join me in a round of applause? Next on our agenda is our Hall of Fame luncheon at noon in the Jasmine Room. We will announce the winners of the speech contest before the lunch is served. So now let's ask our speech contestants to come up front There are a lot of folks out in that audience who want to get their picture and say hello. Thank you very much, and you are adjourned.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the NMA Hall of Fame Luncheon. This is a unique part of the annual conference, and we were privileged today to be honoring a very special leader, manager, and community supporter. But we do have some unfinished business this afternoon, announcing the results of our leadership speech contest. Since the late 1980s, the speech contest has become a very popular activity in most of our chapters. Let me thank you for working so hard on the local level. It takes a lot of time and organization to run your chapter contests. Today, these young people made it all worthwhile, and to each of them we say thank you. The very fact that you are here means that you competed against scores of others along the way. You have been chosen as the 4 best contestants in the nation, and you should be very proud of that accomplishment. I know that we are. Let's take a moment to thank our official sponsors of the speech contest. 3 chapters have stepped out to help financially. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Leadership Development Association, Detroit, Michigan. The Blues, a chapter of NMA, Lansing, Michigan. And Lockheed Martin, Leadership Association, Lockheed Martin Aeronautics, Fort Worth, Texas. If you take a look at the speech contest brochure, you'll see a list of our 2014 contest donors on the back. Some of these people are with us today, and I'd like for them to stand and be recognized. That would be Alana Oldenburg, CM from Alcatel-Lucent in Plano, Texas. David Williams from Lockheed Martin, 249, Fort Worth, Texas. Doris Dickerson, CM from Boeing Leadership Association in Richardson, Texas. The City of Orange Leadership Development Association in Orange, California, represented by Jessica Carlson and Aaron Schultz. The Southern California Area Council, you can all stand up. John Koonsman from Santa Clara, California, who is also our 2010 National President. Kenny Creel, CM from Aerostructures LDA, and Robin Furlong from the NMA staff. What you won't see are 2 additional sponsors that we picked up this weekend, so they won't be listed there, but I would like to recognize Lockheed Martin 536 from Vandenberg Air Force Base and Lennox number 514. So thank you all for your participation. At this time, I ask the Chairman of the Board, Karen Duvalla, to come forward to assist as we introduce our contestants. While Karen is coming forward, let me also recognize our National Speech Contest Coordinator and National Director, Kathy Spatz from Columbus Public Service Chapter of Columbus, Ohio. Kathy. Kathy conducted a very professional speech contest this morning. Thank you very much. I also want to thank all the volunteers who helped. Would everyone who assisted with the contest today please stand and be recognized? Your support contributed today to a very successful contest, so please stand. Let's also thank those men and women who gave up their morning to judge the contest. Would all the judges who stayed for lunch please stand and be recognized once again? The judges. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our 4 contestants in alphabetical order. They have come and have them come forward to stand to my far right. So, first, we have Sarah Hogan. Sarah lives in Melville, New York, and is a senior at St. Pius V High School. She's sponsored by Lockheed Martin Leadership Association in Morristown, New Jersey. Sarah, and she's coming up. Secondly, may I introduce Dulcinea Camp. While her home is in Richland, Washington, my home also, she is currently a senior at Winifred High School in Winifred, Montana. Dulcinea is sponsored by my chapter, the Mid-Columbia Leadership Development Association, and our council, the Columbia Basin Area Council in Richland, Washington. Next, we have Jonathan Hall. Jonathan is a senior at Montgomery Christian Institute in Gaithersburg, Maryland. He is sponsored by the Lockheed Martin Leadership Association in Baltimore. And now, Taryn Murphy. Taryn is a homeschooled sophomore living in Temecula, California. She is sponsored by the City of San Diego chapter and the San Diego Council. Congratulations to you all. Each of you did an outstanding job this morning. Listening to you was a pleasure, and we thank you for making the trip to Miami this weekend. I'm glad that I wasn't a judge. You're all winners in my book, and we've enjoyed having you with us. So, without further delay, in alphabetical order, I want to present our two third-place winners. The first third-place winner and recipient of $500 cash prize from Melville, New York, is Sarah Bogan. Our next third-place winner, and again, winner of a $500 cash prize from Gaithersburg, Maryland, is Jonathan Hall. Our second-place winner and winner of a $1,000 cash prize from Winifred, Montana, is Dulcinea Camp. Ladies and gentlemen, our first-place winner and winner of a $4,000 cash prize from Temecula, California, is Taryn Murphy. So do I. All right, ladies and gentlemen, half of these young people done a great job. Let's give them all one more huge round of applause. Congratulations, well done. You have a very bright future ahead of you. Thank you. You may be seated.